sounds almost impossible, but it's true. One single thought, if you believe it, can unravel months, sometimes years of your spiritual progress. Imagine spending all that time breaking free from illusions, peeling away false identities, feeling lighter, clearer, more connected than ever. You're convinced you'll never go back. But then, like a thief in the night, a single thought creeps in. And before you even realize what's happening, you're pulled right back into the prison you thought you'd escaped. This is the hidden trap of awakening, and almost no one talks about it. We expect obstacles to look obvious, pain, conflict, temptation. But the most dangerous obstacle doesn't scream at you, it whispers. It disguises itself as reason, as logic, as self-awareness. And if you don't see it for what it is, you'll believe it. And belief is enough to slam the door on your awakening. Think of it like this. You're climbing a mountain. You've pushed through storms, exhaustion, and doubt. You've almost reached the top. And then a single voice in your head says, "What if you've been climbing the wrong mountain? What if this doesn't even matter?" That one thought is enough to make most people turn back. Not because the mountain disappeared, not because their progress vanished, but because they believed a lie. This is why awakening is so fragile in the early stages, not because the truth itself is fragile, but because our faith in it is. The mind knows this. It hates awakening. It hates silence. It hates that you're no longer under its full control. So it waits for the moment when your guard is down, when you're tired, when you're uncertain. And then it strikes with a single thought. I've lost it. I failed. Maybe none of this was real. At first, it sounds harmless, almost logical. After all, everyone has bad days. Everyone feels disconnected sometimes. But the moment you agree with that thought, the spiral begins. Doubt spreads like cracks in glass. Confidence shatters. And before long, you're chasing after the peace you once had, desperately trying to recreate an experience that was never meant to be forced. Here's the truth. Almost every awakened soul faces this test. Some see it clearly and pass. Many don't. The difference isn't strength or worthiness. The difference is awareness. Do you recognize the thought for what it is, a trick of the mind, or do you let it masquerade as truth? That single choice determines whether your awakening deepens or disappears behind clouds of doubt. So before we go any further, I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Have you ever felt like you lost your awakening? Like everything you worked for just slipped away overnight? If you have, then you've already met the most dangerous thought on this path. The real question is, will you keep believing it, or will you finally see through it? After awakening, many people believe the mind has been defeated once and for all. They imagine it disappears like smoke, never to return. But the truth is different. The mind doesn't vanish, it waits. It becomes quieter, yes, but it doesn't surrender. Like a predator in tall grass, it crouches low, patient, waiting for the moment when you let your guard down. And when that moment comes, it strikes not with noise, but with a whisper. The mind knows it cannot win through force. It knows you've seen too much, felt too much truth to be fooled by obvious lies. So it tries something far more subtle. It plants a single thought that seems harmless, even rational. Thoughts like, I've lost it, I'm doing this wrong, maybe none of this even matters. These sentences sound simple. They even sound responsible, like self-reflection. But make no mistake, they are poison disguised as reason. Think of it like a drop of ink in clear water. At first, it's small, almost invisible. But slowly it spreads, clouding everything. The moment you agree with the thought, even for a second, the ink begins to swirl. Doubt seeps into your clarity. Certainty begins to fracture. And before you know it, the whole glass is murky. Not because truth disappeared, but because you can no longer see it through the fog you believed into existence. Here's the danger. The mind is cunning. It knows your weak spots. If you've always feared failure, it will whisper, "You're failing." If you've always feared abandonment, it will whisper, "The universe has left you." If you've always feared being ordinary, it will whisper, "That awakening wasn't real. You just made it up." Each thought is custom-tailored, perfectly designed to trigger your deepest insecurity. And because it echoes what you already fear, you accept it as truth. That's how the trap is set. The mind doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to fight. All it has to do is plant a single seed of doubt and wait for you to water it with your belief. The moment you say, "Yes, maybe that's true," the roots begin to spread. And soon you find yourself spiraling, searching for proof, chasing old highs, doubting your entire journey. This is why so many seekers fall back. Not because awakening left them, but because they gave power to the wrong thought. The mind didn't destroy their awakening. It tricked them into abandoning it themselves. So ask yourself right now, has the mind whispered to you lately? Did you mistake its bait for wisdom? Because if you can see the trick before you swallow it, you've already taken away half its power. Here's where the danger becomes real. The thought arrives, soft, subtle, almost logical. "I've lost it. The peace is gone. Maybe it was never real." In that moment, nothing is actually broken. The truth hasn't disappeared. Your awareness hasn't gone anywhere. But the instant you agree with that thought, even slightly, the spiral begins. At first, it's just doubt. You wonder, why doesn't meditation feel the same? Why don't I feel connected anymore? That doubt creates tension. You sit down to meditate not with openness, but with fear. You're no longer resting, you're trying to force an experience. You're no longer breathing, you're chasing the memory of bliss. And the harder you chase, the further it runs. Soon, desperation creeps in. You scroll through books, videos, teachers, hoping someone will give you the missing key. You try new techniques, longer practices, stricter routines. But underneath it all, the same thought keeps whispering, "You've lost it. You're failing. You're broken." The more you chase, the heavier it feels. The more you strive, the more impossible peace becomes. It's like quicksand. The moment you panic and struggle, you sink deeper. Or imagine trying to grab smoke with your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. That's what happens when you believe the wrong thought. You trap yourself in the very struggle you were once free from. And here's the tragic irony. Nothing real was ever lost. Awakening didn't vanish. The silence, the clarity, the awareness, it's still here, waiting in the background. The only thing that changed was your belief. By agreeing with the mind's lie, you built a wall in front of your own eyes. You can't see the sky because you're staring at the cloud and calling it the truth. This is why people say, "I fell backward, I lost my awakening." But listen carefully. No one ever falls backward. You only fall into thought. And thought convinces you that you've fallen. That's the spiral. It doesn't end because the universe abandoned you. It ends when you stop feeding the lie that started it all. So if you've been caught in this cycle, chasing the high, doubting your path, drowning in self-criticism, understand this. The problem was never the silence. The problem was never you. The problem was a single wrong thought that you mistook for reality. Now that you see the truth, that awakening can't be lost, only covered, it's time to talk about protection. Because the mind will try again. It doesn't stop after one attempt. It will wait, it will disguise itself, and it will whisper the same poisonous thought in 1,000 different ways. Your job is not to fight the mind, but to recognize its games before you hand over your power. The first protection is awareness. Expect the trap. Don't be surprised when it shows up. If you know the mind will whisper, "You've lost it," then the next time it comes, you'll smile. You'll say, "Ah, there you are. I've been waiting for this trick." Awareness is like turning on the light in a dark room. The shadow of doubt only looks scary when you don't see what it is. The second protection is discernment. Not every thought deserves your belief. Some thoughts are simply bait, hooks designed to pull you back into struggle. The moment you catch yourself thinking, "I've lost it," pause. Ask yourself, is this true, or is this just another cloud drifting by? 9 times out of 10, you'll realize it's just the mind fishing for attention. And once you see it clearly, the hook has nothing to grab onto. The third protection is presence. Anchor yourself in direct experience instead of mental stories. The mind says, "It's gone." But what's real right now? The breath is still here. The awareness noticing this thought is still here. The stillness behind every sensation is still here. When you ground yourself in the present moment, the mind's story loses its grip, because presence cannot be argued with. It can only be experienced. And here's the fourth protection: stop chasing. Every time you run after signs, after bliss, after proving your awakening, you reinforce the mind's lie that you've lost something. The truth doesn't need chasing. It's already here, waiting in the background. So instead of running, sit. Instead of grasping, breathe. Instead of forcing, allow. Think of it like a storm. If you run outside screaming at the rain to stop, you'll only exhaust yourself. But if you stay calm, let the storm pass, you'll see the sky clear on its own. Protecting yourself from the trap works the same way. You don't have to fight every thought. You simply let them pass and trust that what's real doesn't vanish with the weather. So the next time the whisper comes, "You've lost it, it's gone, you failed," don't panic, don't chase, don't argue. Smile, notice it, breathe, and return to the awareness that's never left you. That's how you protect yourself. That's how you turn the mind's favorite weapon into your greatest teacher. So here we are, at the heart of the journey. Awakening isn't measured by how many blissful states you can stack up. It's not proven by endless synchronicities, visions, or highs. The real test, the one that almost everyone must face, is whether you can stand in the silence of your own mind without falling for its lies. Can you hold steady when the whisper comes, "It's gone, you failed, it was never real"? Passing this test doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. Doubt may come, fear may arise, emptiness may feel heavy. But instead of running, you'll stay. Instead of believing every thought, you'll see it for what it is: a passing cloud, a trick, a shadow with no substance. That is what keeps the flame alive. That is the difference between a temporary spark and a fire that never goes out. So the next time the whisper comes, "You've lost it, it's gone, you failed," don't panic, don't chase, don't argue. Smile, notice it, breathe, and return to the awareness that's never left you. That's how you protect yourself. That's how you turn the mind's favorite weapon into your greatest teacher. So here we are, at the heart of the journey. Awakening isn't measured by how many blissful states you can stack up. It's not proven by endless synchronicities, visions, or highs. The real test, the one that almost everyone must face, is whether you can stand in the silence of your own mind without falling for its lies. Can you hold steady when the whisper comes, "It's gone, you failed, it was never real"? Passing this test doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. Doubt may come, fear may arise, emptiness may feel heavy. But instead of running, you'll stay. Instead of believing every thought, you'll see it for what it is: a passing cloud, a trick, a shadow with no substance. That is what keeps the flame alive. That is the difference between a temporary spark and a fire that never goes out. Think of all the awakened ones before you. The mystics, the sages, the seekers who came face to face with this same test. They all had moments of silence, of darkness, of feeling forsaken. And yet, the ones who endured discovered the unshakable truth. Nothing real can ever be lost. Awareness cannot vanish. Presence cannot be destroyed. The only thing that dies is the illusion you stop feeding. This is why one wrong thought can feel so dangerous. Not because it has power on its own, but because you give it power when you believe it. The mind will always try, but every time you see its trick clearly, you weaken its grip. And every time you return to awareness, you strengthen your freedom. So let me ask you directly, what thoughts have you been believing? Are they serving your awakening or sabotaging it? Because today can be the turning point. You don't need to fight. You don't need to chase. All you need to do is drop the lie and rest in what's already here. And if these words spoke to you, don't keep them to yourself. Share your experience in the comments below, because your story might be the exact reminder someone else needs to pass their own test. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next message, because this path is easier when we walk it together. You don't have to fight the mind alone. You already have everything you need to win.